Hello, 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 hello. We had a lovely day right up until about 20 minutes ago when it started to rain. Oh, anyway, it's all part of the fun. We don't come to Scotland for the weather. So I think we've got about 4 minutes to go before we start. Oh, don't start. The transmission is saying that it is unstable. Don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm hoping it's all right, and I'm hoping you can all hear and see. Yeah, so we're going to have a look at the Canongate this afternoon. Take a little look at its history, walk down some of the streets, see what we can get ourselves into trouble with. Hi Tish. It's windy, wet, just like, oh. Because I've been looking at the weather all day and it's been sunny, and I'm like, yay, we're going to get a sunny day. But yeah, what can you do? Right, it's still saying its transmission is unstable to a weak connection, but before I put this on I was on 5G. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, so I think we've got about 3 minutes and then we can get started. Actually, we could probably get started now actually, when I think about it. The joy is people can join in when they arrive and then rewatch later. Hi Cheryl. Hi Natasha. I think I missed Natasha there, but hi. Yep. Hi. I think we'll just get started because it stopped raining for a minute. Okay. Now we're doing the Canongate, but I brought you to the little viewpoint just because it's right next to it, so it's fine. So we'll turn you around. There we go. I wish there was a better way to turn the camera around, I really do. So, Wednesday the 20th, no it's not Wednesday, it's Friday the 28th of March. There we go. Lovely blue sky, don't let it fool you, it's been raining. Get a fantastic view from here. So you've got the Balmoral Hotel, the clock tower there. And then the old GPO building, General Post Office. It's now an office and a gym and things. And then you can just see Hotel W's ribbon popping up there. And then Calton Hill, you've got the Dougald Stewart Memorial, you've got David Hume just there as well, and then you've got the monument, the Martyrs Monument, so that's the old Calton Burial Ground, and then you've got the old Governor's House there, the Governor's Mansion, and then we've got St Andrew's House, which is built on the site of the old Calton Jail, and then you've got the Nelson Monument all covered in scaffolding. Whitehorse Close is the one I can't take you into because the signal just drops as soon as I get you in there. I mean, I can give it a bash, but the signal will probably drop, but you might get a couple of seconds viewing before it goes. I'll try and remember when we get down there, but usually I avoid it because it kind of just, it's one of those dead spots, and it's a shame because it's beautiful. But I've got it on video somewhere at some point. So we've got modern buildings right here at the back of the Canongate. So you can see the council building here, and obviously that's the train station just below us. Just down there. Hi Michelle. So yeah, then you've got North Bridge, and then you can see the Gothic spire of the Scott Monument. So this is a really new addition because this wall used to be complete all the way along, but when they put the Edinburgh Gin is underneath me. These are the arches of obviously there's a bridge here, so these are the arches, and they've got the chop house, there's an art gallery, there's a hairdresser's, there's bars, there's all sorts of things. So it's good that East Market Street has been revitalised, and then we've got all these coffee shops and things as well. So this is Jeffrey Street, but it was Leith Wynd, so the wine to Leith, the port. But yeah, so if you fancy tasting gin, we've got Edinburgh Gin Distilleries just below my feet here. There you go, cappuccino, artisan coffee house. We've got I don't know what that says, but it's a French restaurant. Rock and Rose hairdressers. So it's quite nice the way it's done. And Tempting Tatty is a baked potato shop, and it's had a facelift. So yeah, it's looking really snazzy. Oh, hi Linda. So there you can see Edinburgh Gin, which is quite good because it means now there's these steps that take you down into Cranston Street as well. You can just see it. It's down there. So we're now on the boundary, so we're definitely in the Canongate, because where the traffic lights are on the right hand side of the road, that's where the Netherbow Port stood, the low gate to the city. So the Royal Mile's just ahead of us, running right and left, and it's several streets within it, so Castle Hill, Lawn Market, High Street, Canongate, and then Abbey Strand. So we're looking at the Canongate site. Ooh, it's a little bit chilly. Well, this is a nice shop. I was in there. I've actually just bought 3 Christmas cards. I have been preparing. So they're 3D. You know, the ones that they pop up and they give you a lovely little Christmas scene. So yeah, so the World's End pub, the World's End Close, because this is the end of the world for people who live in Edinburgh, because it was free to leave but you had to pay to get back in. Now the Royal Mile Edinburgh section within the city walls was very overcrowded, very cramped conditions, whereas the Canongate was much more relaxed, much more spread out, because they didn't have a city wall. And so just down here, Cranston Street, that's the one we just had a wee look at from above. And it's got not a bad view, to be fair. And if you're into chocolate, you can do a chocolate tour experience in the chocolate shop just down here. So this is an old police box. I've seen them before. This one's been turned into a coffee box. English spoken, American understood, and it has Wi-Fi as well. Who knew? There you go. Right. I'm just going to get us across the road while we can. Now, Mimi's Bakehouse. I don't know if you remember Mimi's, but Mimi's Bakehouse closed down here, and it's turned into a Harry Potter shop.
Hot chocolate.
In Gibbs Close, this is where Constantine Burke lived, who was the brother of William Burke of Burke and Hare fame. So Pirrie's Close, and Pirrie's Close is one of the closes that's lit up at night. And this one used to be really bad with graffiti. I think I've told you that before. So when they put this sort of artwork in, this art installation, it really has made a difference. I've never seen any graffiti now. So we've got keys, shoes with gloves, and then you've got the flowers. It looks like a street light. Handbag, and that just looks like an evil eye to me. I'm not sure what it's meant to be. Then you've got ironwork that you would see on fences and things. Then you've got bad, good, good as gold, bad as black. And more flowers. And then you've got the owl with the roses and the fox. It is a really good solution to the graffiti. And then we've got the lovebirds just above us here. But you can see that's at night how they light it up. And you get the shadows cast against the wall, which is fantastic. I'm just going to let you, anyone who wants to take a screenshot of that, I'll just put that there for a second. Yeah, no, it's one of the closest. I love coming in here. So here we've got ladybirds. I know in other parts of the world they call them ladybugs, but here it's a ladybird. And then we've got the circle of life. Not brilliant. This is bringing us out into Chesil's Court. So the nice thing about the Canongate is that because it never had the city wall, it was much more relaxed and much more spread out. Whereas Edinburgh, because it was within the city wall, everything just got really squashed and higher and higher, and the streets were really narrow. Oh, I'm getting heckled by a seagull. But it's just nice you don't expect to see all this open space when you walk down the Royal Mile. Oh, we've got some sunshine. So Chesil's Court, you've got this lovely open grassy area, quite a combination. You've got 1700s and then 1970s, all in the same place. Now this is where Deacon William Brodie met his end. This is where he tried to rob the excise office with 4 accomplices. You had 2 inside, 2 outside. Halfway through the robbery, they'd found the drawer with the money. It had a false bottom. Halfway through the robbery, a clerk came back to the office and everyone inside panicked. Well, I was trying to show you that bud, but it won't. It's not focusing. So yeah, the accomplices ran away. They went to the grass market. They got very, very drunk and told everyone what they'd been up to. So they were arrested. Brodie tried to get in to the toll booth, which was outside St Giles. Look at that rhubarb. He tried to get into the toll booth to see his accomplices and find out what they were going to do. Were they going to, give him up, or what were they going to do? So he couldn't get in. So he panicked and he eventually ran away to Amsterdam, where he wrote home 2 letters with his new name and address. Now, those letters actually came to Edinburgh, but they circulated for quite a while before they were actually given over to the police. And eventually they were handed over to the police, and at that point he was arrested. He came up with all sorts of weird and wonderful ideas about how he was going to survive his execution. We've got some rosemary here, and then you can see some of the storage vaults just in here. So he wanted a metal collar. He was going to put a metal tube down his throat. He had a doctor on standby, all so that he wouldn't, once he'd been executed, he could be revived. His neck wouldn't break, his windpipe would still be okay. But yeah, that didn't work. And basically, he was executed on the gallows he designed for the city. So yes, crime doesn't pay people. Now, we also had our first sort of real hotel in the old town here, and lodging houses were awful. Beds slept 3. The poorest people, you weren't allowed to be homeless, so you would pay a small fee to the landlord of a pub or an inn to let you sleep in their basement. And what they would do is they would string a rope across the basement, and you would basically just drape yourself over that rope and try to sleep. If you're lucky, they might have a bench you could sit on whilst draping, but if not, you're standing up draping over this thing. We were so overcrowded. If you had space on the floor for a lodger, once you had everyone else in your family on straw mats on the floor, you would get a lodger. I love this love heart. I say it every time we come in here, but I've been coming in here for 25 years and I've never seen anyone trim it. Now, obviously somebody trims it, but they must do it in the middle of the night. Yeah. Oh, look at the little daffodils. It has been quite windy, so hopefully the wind's going to be kind and not whip the gimbal round, but yeah. So, I mean, the nice thing about the old town is we do have lots of green spaces. Unfortunately, quite a few of them I can't take you into because we lose signal, but at some point I will do some videos of them just to let you see them. But here we've got a little garden here, and then we've got a little private access garden down here as well. But yeah. The crows are loud. Oh, yeah, just while I'm on, we have little birds called tits. T-I-T-S. So you've got blue tits, great tits and all this kind of thing. And I, in my not thinking brain, tried to work out which ones it was we had in the garden. So I googled tits, thinking I would be shown lots of pictures of birds. But instead I got a message come up on the computer going, "We have blurred these images. Are you sure you want to unblur them?" And I was like, oh my word. Yeah, so I decided I'm going to go and buy a book on Scottish birds, and that way I won't get myself into trouble on the internet. So yes, yeah, we've got some bird feeders, you see. Now, the 1970s buildings that we're looking at just here, I know they look a bit rough and they do definitely need some TLC, but I know, Camilla, only me. I love the way that the architect, when he's designed them, has looked at the old town and seen the arcading that you see at places like Gladstone's Land or Deacon Brodie's Tavern, and put the arcading in here to give us that feel. So although it's 1970s architecture, which it clearly is, you still have this little nod to the past, and I think it's really good. Yeah, I know, I just couldn't believe I did it as well. But anyway, yeah, don't let me near a computer, people, that's all I have to say. Yeah, and the other one I like about this is at night, they actually light these columns up, so there's usually shafts of light, beams of light coming down the columns, and the light bounces off the ceiling, and it's really nice. And it's one of the 12 closes that they've illuminated to try and encourage people to use the closes. Now, there has been a lot of sort of regeneration in the Canongate. The section just in front of us, where you can see New Street to the left there, behind that is all brand new. In fact, I'm going to try and get across the road. Let's see if we can. Just waiting for this taxi to go. So they kept the facade, which is the Adagio apartment hotel. They kept the facade because they didn't want to change the Royal Mile any further, so they kept that facade, but they built behind it. So if we pop down New Street, we can have a little wander into the new section, then we'll come back onto the old parts again. Right. So this is New Street, and then we're looking at St Andrew's House, and then behind that is Calton Hill, just to get your bearings for anyone that's new. And here we've got an old school. So we've got lots of schools that get turned into apartments. This one's Brewdog. I think it's got a hotel as well. So we've got, yeah, this very modern part just here. So you've got this, there's a government building, Loudon's is like a sort of a restaurant, and then there's also accommodation, solicitors. So they did want this to be like almost a designer hub, but with COVID and everything else that's happened, it's not really taken off that way. But I've not eaten here, but I have heard good things about it. So if anybody's on here that has been to Loudon's, let us know if it's as good as they say. But yeah, so it's amazing to think something this modern is behind the older part of the Canongate, and there's a lot of building still going on. We've got lots of student accommodation in this area, and then we've got more accommodation. If we actually walked through there, it would take us, but I want to go back onto the Royal Mile. It would take us further down and then back on, but I want to get us back onto the Canongate. Now, Mackay's on the Mile is a nice pub. It's new, but I had the Sunday roast there, and the meat was, it was like chewing rubber. I don't know what happened, but it was awful. But yeah, the staff are lovely and things, so it was probably just a one-off. So the next time I eat there, I'll give you an update, just to let you know how it went. But it's nicely decorated inside and things, and at Christmas it looks lovely. They've done a really good job. But yeah, it's amazing to think that we've got this modern archway, and then across the road we've got a really old one, St John's Pend. I'm going to get us back onto that side of the road because I just want to show you on the ground there's two ruts where carriages, the wheels of carriages would be guided, and they're actually metal. Right. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you can just see, you see how they've got, where the curbstones are, they've got this metal running along the side to protect the pavement from damage from the carriages. Now I'm not going to go, I did actually want to go and show you the Masonic Lodge, but there's scaffolding and all sorts on the way, so we won't do that today. See, it's really pretty, Mackay's on the Mile. Then you've got the Fudge House, but just above the Fudge House doorway, you've got a window, and then you've got the plaque. Let's see if I can. Now, a second, I'll see if I can zoom into that for you. There you go. So you have the crown of St Crispin and the cordoner's knife, and you can see the date 1725. Right, I'm just going to come back out again. So we have early 1900s, the facade. Then we have 1700s, this section. Then we go along to 1600s, 1970s, 1500s, all in this one section. So yeah, the trouble is you can't really stand far enough back to take it all in. And this is Murray House. And when Murray House was built, it was the most grand house in the Canongate. And it dates back to the 1620s. But I'm going to just, this is now, this is part of the University of Edinburgh. So there's quite a lot of university buildings in this area. So ahead of us we've got Salisbury Crags. So Salisbury Crags is a Dollarite intrusion, and that's in the Holyrood Park. In fact, there's somebody walking up there just now. So Holyrood Park is the biggest urban park in Britain. Salisbury Crags, and then behind it you've got Arthur's Seat, which is a volcano. So this area would have been the garden for Murray House, and this is where the Treaty of Union was partially signed in a summer house in 1707, which was the joining of the Scottish and the English parliaments, and it was a really, really unpopular act. There's an expression, bought and sold for English gold. That's where this comes from, because basically the nobility that signed it were kind of bribed. They'd invested heavily in the Darien scheme, and it had gone horribly wrong. They'd lost a lot of money, and this was like, oh, if you sign this, we'll give you money. Okay, where's the pen? So yeah, it's a massive building, you know, bearing in mind that this was a family home. But yeah, so this is where J.K. Rowling trained to be a teacher as well. So there you can see Murray House School of Education and Sports. I'll just let you have a little look at there. So built in 1625 by the Countess of Home. Let's pop herself back. These lovely obelisk gate posts. So when they built Murray House, they were, you know, no expense was spared. In fact, we'll have a look at the balcony. As we walk under the balcony, if you look at the supports, every single one of them is carved on both sides. And if you can afford that amount of carving, you're showing off. You're going, look at me, I'm rich. See what I mean? Absolutely beautiful building. But again, because it's so close to the road, you can't really stand back and take it in. Right, now, just across the road, we'll try and let you see that one. There you go. So again, we've got the crown of St Crispin, the cordoner's knife, and you can see the date 1677. This is Bible land because you've got an open Bible with a verse there. But if you're on that side of the pavement, you never see it because it's above your head. So Cadence Head, it's the oldest independent bottler in Scotland. So if you come to Edinburgh and you want to get a special whisky, they have lots of choices here. They also do gin and all sorts. And you don't have to buy a full size bottle, you can actually get smaller sizes as well. There you go. See the old pub sign at the back there. It's difficult with the way the lights are shining. And then you've got the toll booth of the Canongate. Edinburgh and the Canongate were separate towns, so they were separate boroughs. So they each had their own toll booth, and a lot of people when they visit Edinburgh they see this one, and because it says toll booth they assume that it's the Edinburgh toll booth, but it's actually the Canongate toll booth. And a toll booth is a civic centre. It's where you paid your taxes, where you went to prison. So we've got the processional staircase here that would take you up to like the town hall. In the basement is where the prison cells were. Today it's the People's Story Museum, which is a free museum all about the social history of Edinburgh. And then we've got the back of the Canongate down at Calton Road just below us here. If you were to go through the archway there, just where the guys disappeared off to the right, there's actually a wellhead. So there was one of the wellheads just at the back of the toll booth. And then we have word shop here. Now this is it's a witch shop. It's been here forever, as long as I can remember. So you have all sorts of goodies in here. I love the birthday wishes. I don't know if you can see the green man. No, you can't see it. There's a lovely card back there. But it's a really nice shop, really friendly. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's definitely one to pop into. Now, just next to us is Huntly House. We're going to go into Bakehouse Close. And Bakehouse Close is telling you exactly what it is. It's where the bakehouse was. You would make your bread and then you would take it to the baker and the baker would bake it for you. So there's a nursery rhyme, patty cake, baker's man, bake me a cake as fast as you can, pat it, prick it, mark it with B, put it in the oven for baby and me, and that's what you would do. And you had to make sure you marked your bread, because if you didn't, you could end up with anyone's bread. So, now it wasn't started by Gillis Duncan, but no, we could get on to Gillis Duncan at some point. I'm going to do a witch's tour, I think. Now, here you can see the entrance to Archibald Aitchison's house. He was very high up in the Scottish Government, and you can see the date, 1633. And you can see his coat of arms, he's got a cockerel and a trumpet. Now this was his house. We have this little courtyard here. So it had a locking gate and security. The pend could be secured as well, the archway we've just come from. And then eventually, once the rich move out of Edinburgh and these houses are no longer used by one family, they get split up into several accommodations. And you can see his initials up there. This one got turned into a brothel. Yes, and because he didn't take his coat of arms down, it was called the Cock and Trumpet. And I'm just going to let you quickly have a look at this, because I think they're about to lock the gate. So I'll pop this here. You can do a screenshot and you can read about it later. The Rangers Imperial List of Ladies of Pleasure of Edinburgh is a book to have a good read of. It's hilarious. Mrs. Stewart keeps a clean house, has her own teeth. So yes. Now, this close gets used for filming period dramas, because you can take the modern street furniture out of it very, very quickly. So we've had Garrow's Law filmed here, Outlander's been filmed here, a Compare the Meerkats advert has been filmed here, so there's been lots and lots of different things filmed here over time. Now at the back of the museum there's actually this lovely little courtyard, and there's lots of carvings that have been saved from buildings around Edinburgh. So you can see there's a beautiful sundial there, there's a bench, there's all sorts of things. So if you do visit the Museum of Edinburgh, it is worth going in to the courtyard if it's open, just to have a little look around. But again, you can see we've got an entranceway here, but this archway could be defended to stop people coming in. And you can see here where somebody's been bored, who's maybe been standing here guarding the entrance or whatever, and they've sharpened their blades. So these vertical lines that you can see, that's where somebody's been bored and has sharpened their knife. Or, now across the road we have the Canongate Kirk, the Canongate Church, and that's the church that King Charles will use when he's in residence at the palace, and he has to stay at Holyrood once a year for about a week. Now I'm not going to go in, I was going to go in, but there's a big school party there, so we'll we'll just take a little wander past. But this is also where David Rizzio, Mary Queen of Scots' Italian secretary, is buried. Well, that's the tradition anyway. He had been buried at the Abbey, but that was for royal burials. People objected, so they had his body moved, and it was moved up here, we think. Now, just through the fence here, we can actually see the Market Cross, or the Market Cross of the Canongate. I'll just pop you in for a second so you can see it. Very plain compared to the one you see in Edinburgh, the top part of the Royal Mile. And this is typical of what you would normally see. You have this shaft with something on the top. Here we've got the stag's head with a cross between the antlers, because that's the emblem of the Canongate, and the steps. So you've got these little steps so you can rise above the crowd, give out any news, any punishments, that kind of thing that has to be done. Now originally it was in front of the church, but it was impeding the flow of traffic, so it was moved. So as we look up the hill here, we've got the toll booth of the Canongate, dates back to 1570, and we also have Huntly House, the Museum of Edinburgh, which also dates to about 1570 as well. So there's lots of old buildings still standing in the Canongate, and it is worth coming down this far. A lot of people tend to miss it out, but there's a lot of history down this end. And this was the original Christmas shop we had. This is where they all started. We had this one, and then other ones started to pop up. So this is Dunbar Close. Dunbar Close is a garden. The reason it has the name Dunbar is there was a writer called Dunbar who owned property on either side of the entrance. So yeah, it's named after him. And it's a beautiful little garden. I don't know if you can hear the birds. So this area was very, very run down, to the point that the buildings had to come down rather than be restored. And they offered the citizens still living in the area, we're going to give you a green space, what do you want? And they got to choose, so they went for a sort of 17th century garden, which is kind of what we've got going on here. It doesn't seem to be missed out, you're right, including me, lol. I wasn't familiar with it. Next time we'll have to explore this. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's actually a really pretty little garden, and a nice place to come for some peace and quiet if you just want to chill, maybe eat a sandwich or something before you continue along. And then we've got Panmure House. That's where Adam Smith lived and died. So we'll just head back out. Oh, it's nice hearing the birds. The garden's really beginning to come to life. I will do a gardens tour at some point, just because it's nice just to spend a little more time looking at it. Now, Dunbar Close garden, it's much easier to find now, but it was difficult for a long time, just because the entrance doesn't look very welcoming. That's the joys of the internet. People realise you can go down, it is there. Oh, look at the sun coming out, isn't that fantastic? Right. As you walk around the Royal Mile, you will find these plaques, and they tell you a little snippet of the history. You've just got to remember to look up. And then you've got the poppies here, because this is where Lady Hague had her poppy factory. And then you can see Adam Smith's Panmure House. Now just ahead of us we've got the Royal Mile Primary School. It's an old Victorian school. So primary education is from about 4.5 to about 11.5, 12, and there's usually a nursery attached to that, so from the age of 3 upwards. Above the big windows there you can see a roundel with a woman and child. That's St Margaret. So if you've been to the castle, St Margaret's Chapel dates to the 1130s. She's Scotland's only female royal saint. She was canonised around 1250, she died 1093. And she's on every Victorian school we have. So although there's lots of statues of men and people are always going on about it, I think pretty much her image probably outnumbers them all because she's on all the schools. Whenever you see a statue of a woman and child, 9 times out of 10 it's St Margaret. Now here we have the Canongate Manse, Reed's Court. Now what's unusual about this one is it has a front garden area. You can see the line of the houses here, okay, but they managed to keep their front garden. So it was a coaching inn from the 1700s, and now it's the Canongate Manse. And then through the gap you can see the really modern building, that's part of the Scottish Parliament building, and those are called think pods or contemplation pods. The things jutting out from the side there, you're meant to sit in it and think. Clarinda's Tea Room is an old-fashioned cafe, scones and cakes and that kind of thing, and it's named after Clarinda, who was Agnes MacElhoe's. Robert Burns used to write love letters. He would sign them Sylvander, she would sign them, no it wasn't, oh sorry, she would sign them Clarinda. Emily, no it wasn't, it's poppies for Remembrance Sunday. So here we have these red poppies that you wear and you give a donation, so it's for that. It's not opium, not this time. Although when we talk about James Gillespie, then we get onto the opium. But yeah. So you've got Regent Terrace just above us, and then you've got the New Calton Burial Ground, and there's a garden up there as well. And then this white building with the red pan-tile roof, that's Queensberry House. And that was the Edinburgh home of the Marquess of Queensberry, the Dukes of Buccleuch. It's huge, and it's now been incorporated into the Scottish Parliament. So you can just see, just to the left there, there's a lower roof with a slate roof there. Just a little wing here. The whole building had a slate roof on it until they were building the Scottish Parliament, and then for some reason they took the beautiful slate roof off and put red pan-tiles on, and it just looks awful. But anyway, that's another story. And then you're starting to see more of the Scottish Parliament just through here. The roof of the, oh there's a rainbow. You can see the rainbow, that's really nice. That makes up for it raining. Lovely rainbow. So yeah, the roof part is meant to look like the hulls of upturned ships. Not quite sure why, but anyway. Now I'm just walking past Whiteford House. Whiteford House is the Scottish War Veterans Residence, so anyone that served in the armed forces, male or female, that needs extra support can come and stay at Whiteford House. Now, let's see if we can see over the wall. We'll just head up the wee steps here. James Balfour, accountant by day, respectable man. I'll show you what he was up to at night in a minute. 100 years supporting veterans, so this was a few years back, this was unveiled. But there you can see the bowling green is artificial grass, and then you can see the New Calton Burial Ground just behind it there. Now, we saw James Balfour, accountant, and here we have Jamie Balfour, drunk. Right. Now, oops, wait till that bus is gone. On the side of the Scottish Parliament there's lots of quotes from Scottish writers, and there are new ones going to be getting added, I think, from women. And then you can see the artist's impression of the old town. So the architect's impression of the old town. Now Whitehorse Close, like I say, the signal is a bit of a nightmare. So right from here, it's kind of, because if I go into it, it's just going to, oh, the wind's catching the gimbal now. It is beautiful. Whitehorse Close is named after, traditionally they named after this is where Mary Queen of Scots' white horse was stabled. I will nip in, the signal will probably go, and then I'll come back out, so I don't know how much you're going to get to see. but I'm pretty sure the signal's gone. So yeah, at the end here, that's an old coaching inn dating back to the sort of the 1500s. So the horses and carriages would arrive at the back of the building, and then they would offload, you'd come through the close and then walk out. So I think the signal's probably dropped, so I'm just going to come straight back out again. Hopefully we'll be okay. You just let me know if that we're back. Right, it's still telling me I've lost signal, so it's good. Oh, thank goodness for that, sorry. Because it's still telling me I've got transmission error now. So yeah, so just ahead of us we have the Palace of Holyrood House. So this is the King's official residence in Scotland, and you can see the King's gallery. So we get artwork. She's got a massive collection in the royal family, so it gets rotated around the palace galleries. So we're quite lucky, sort of every 6 months we get a new... Right, that garden's shut, so I'm just going to try to cross the road here quickly before I get run over. And again, there we go. So we've got the Scottish Parliament. Estimated cost to build was about £40 million, and I think it actually cost £224 million in the end. Now you can see Arthur's Seat, the peak at the back there. I don't know if you heard what that man was saying. There's a guy that's having a bit of an issue, so I'm just going to stand here, and I'll probably just end us here so I don't have to worry about somebody having a go at the gimbal. So across the road you've got the Abbey Strand apartments, and some of these date back to sort of 1600s, and where the cars are you can see the change in the material on the road, and it goes from tarmac to sets. So that's the line of the sanctuary, because the Abbey is that square tower you can see next to the palace, and that square tower, the Abbey was started in 1128 by David I because he went hunting on a Sunday. He was charged by a stag, he got knocked from his horse and pinned to the ground, and he thought he was going to die. The only thing he could do was hold up his hand, hold up his cross, close his eyes, and when he eventually opened his eyes the stag had vanished. So to thank God for saving his life, he built the Abbey to the Holy Rood, the Holy Cross. Right, the guy's coming now, people, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to put my phone away, and oh, he's standing off with the car now. Right, okay. Anyway, sorry to end it so abruptly, but I don't want any aggravation. So I'll see you later. Okay, bye.